G'day, AJ Mahar here. Another short that I did. Codependents are masterfully manipulated by borderlines. Doesn't mean it's always intentional or, quote, evil, but yes, masterfully manipulated by borderlines because they manipulate to survive. I'm not saying it makes it okay, but it's not like they're always just doing it to get you. They're trying to not drown, right? Emotionally and literally emotionally. So the commenter says, when you say, meaning moi, quote, when they come back, they aren't re-idealizing you, unquote. What exactly are they thinking when they come back? Wow. That's a good question. Because what are they thinking when they come back? Well, they're usually not really thinking as much as you might think. You like the smell of my shampoo, Grace? Cool. They're not usually thinking as much as you might think. Because what are they doing mainly when they come back? First of all, let me point out and remind everybody who is the ex of somebody with BPD. Yes, Grace. Love you too. My big Roddy guy is in his crate right now where he'd knock everything over just because he's so rambunctious. Anyway, yeah, they're not really thinking as much as you think. They're not usually thinking a whole lot, if at all, about what they're actually saying that gives you the idea they're thinking about it, like thinking about you, for example, because they're usually, okay, Grace, off you go. Grace, it's a bit much. Thank you. They're usually feeling. So the question that makes more sense for me to explain this to you, but it wouldn't make more sense for people who are going to accept the ex back on a Hoover to be thinking this, but it might help you if you could. It's more than what are they thinking, it's what are they feeling. And the answer to that question would be hard for you to really know on if you're an ex and you Hoover, whatever, and you're like, oh, I need this person back still, because that's a mistake. And you'll find that out if you do that. Recycling these relationships, whether you reverse Hoover or the borderline Hoovers, it's not going to work out. It's not meant to work out. It's not supposed to work out. Not healthy to work out. It's not healthy enough to work out. But it's what they're feeling that motivates them. And it can sound amazing to that codependent being Hoovered. Can sound amazing, like, I really miss you. I'm so sorry. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. I didn't really mean that. I do love you. And all these words are really coming in an untreated borderline or someone not even diagnosed yet, but those patterns are there. Those words are really coming from. They sound adult and everything, and they sound like they're about you. But they're really coming from the feeling component of I need you, I need you, I need you. Help me, regulate me. Oh, you can love me. You love me and I love you. I don't know what I was thinking. But this little place, big place actually, inside of them, where the the hugely wounded, lost self, that child inside, is still guiding the way of the borderline's entire life. Dissimilarly, yes, but not totally dissimilarly to how the codependent thinks they're being re-idealized by the returning Hoovering, or you're going to bring them back borderline, for which you have responsibility too, by the way. And in this case, you think, oh, I'm getting re-idealized. Look, they really do love me. It's going to be okay. That's all fantasy bond content. That's also how codependents aren't thinking as logically as they might think they are when you're letting the borderline who, you broke up with, they broke up, there was a breakup, they Hoovered, they ghosted, or you thought they discarded you. Now you're letting them come back based on your fantasy bond, based on, wow, what are they thinking? Because this commenter just assumed, and I'm sure lots of people out there just assume, oh, they're just re-idealizing me again. Good, good. And what are you after? Well, sure, this is the person of your dreams, you still think. And your soulmate. No, it's not. But that's what you still think in the fantasy bond. And you're like, going to get that intermittent reinforcement. It's going to take all your pain away. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to work out this time. Do you know, I've worked with people over the years that they've recycled relationships, taken the borderline back 5 times, maybe 3 times, 5 times, 8 times, 10 times, 12 times, 15 times, 20 times, 25 times. When we get to 30, I'll just say 30 times plus. And this can be over this could happen quickly, rapidly, through like a couple years or 3 years or 5 years. But for a lot of people, unfortunately, it usurps their lives. It's 20 years, it's 30 years, it's, and these relationships are not going to work because you're trauma bonded as a codependent with a borderline. Anybody would be trauma bonded with a borderline. Borderline's trauma bonded to you. There's the fantasy bond, and often a betrayal bond. There's just a reality that people at BPD, like I said in my last video, have no self. Who are you loving? Oh, they got so much potential. Yeah, but they're not going to realize it till they have like 10, 15 or more years of therapy and transference-focused therapy until they get to actual recovery, which can be done, but it does take tremendous work, dedication, hanging in there, going through all kinds of stuff that most borderlines can't endure going through. And even then, some people are going to be more amenable or healthier and more relationship ready, and some just aren't ever going to get there. So what's the borderline thinking when they hoover you? They're feeling. And they're feeling more about what they want than anything they say to you about how bad they feel. And they might feel bad. Some of them, they might really feel bad, but they don't have a self to know why they feel bad. Like, maybe they raged at you and stuff, right? And now they really do feel bad about that. They can. But it doesn't mean that, so they come back and you start again, or you continue from where you were. You might still want to have the other conversation. They're still not going to do that. And they'll obfuscate it. They'll jade, it'll be borderline induced conversation, and it'll repeat. But you're thinking, oh, this feels so good. And so you wonder what they're thinking. Well, they're not thinking, they're feeling. And more to the point, no matter what the borderline might think, if they think anything, it's not necessarily awareness, because I've had clients who've had ex-BPD say to them in Hoovers prior, all kinds of amazing things. And I've heard clients saying, so I thought he or I thought she was like, maybe they went to therapy, or I thought 2 weeks, 2 months later, what's going to change? Nothing, I promise you. And so then they say, well, but she seems so much more aware. And she said she was really sorry. And she mentioned some things and kind of sound like she understood them. That's their intellects working. It doesn't mean anything about that borderline ex that you might still love and you really can't stop hurting without. And so you're all in, like, they're going to re-idealize me again. This is going to work. And it's not re-idealization. So bottom line is, you're hearing what you want to hear. They're often saying what they know you want to hear. What a lot of people with BPD are feeling that leads them to say what they say to you in a Hoover, and it sounds really good. And it sounds really like more aware. But doesn't mean it is. It's use of intellect, if anything, and or it's just false promises. But it's what you want to hear. And then you start thinking in the fantasy part of the trauma bond, oh, they really do get it. Oh, they understand more than I thought they did. Or they seem to have changed. And you might be talking to this person 12 hours later, a week later, 2 weeks later, 2 months later, 3 months later. Nobody with borderline personality disorder changes that fast, okay? So I would just say to people with codependency and to you exes who are, wondering what's happening in the Hoover, I would just say, why are you in contact and why are you allowing a Hoover? And moreover, when do you think you might find your way to not only no contact if there's no children involved, but how do you think you might find your way to realizing that this really isn't going to work and that you are trapped? Geez, Grace, I feel pressured by that. That you are trapped in a fantasy bond. That first, like the commenter said, first it's like, well, you say they're not idealizing when they Hoover. The person doesn't even seem to half believe me. I don't know, really. I'm just saying it could be the case or not the case. But the thing is, they're not re-idealizing you when they Hoover. Because after devaluation, there is no more re-idealization. There can be some more tender, kinder, nice interaction, but that's only because, again, the Hoovering borderline is after what they want and what they need. And what they want and need is going to be very sort of time limited again. So right now you're it again. Like, oh, I miss you and I'm sorry. And, when I said this or I did this, sometimes you get some details. Sounds really good. But when you're in the fantasy bond place of they're re-idealizing me, why would you want that second go around? Because it's not re-idealization, but even though it's like sort of like base mood with a little bit of sugar on top, and hey, sugar is not really good for us in many ways, is it? And in this way, it's really not good for people psychologically and beyond. So it's like that with a little bit of sugar on top. But how long does it really take for the sugar to go away, or for the sugar to get used up, or for the sugar to fall on the floor? So bottom line is, they are not re-idealizing. And this is where codependents are stuck in the fantasy bond believing that they are, because you'll find this out, because it won't work out. And not every person with BPD is the same. Not every codependent and borderline have exactly the same patterns, like some core patterns the same, but so you might get a relationship recycle from a Hoover or from your BPD Ex that lasts, hours to a day, to a couple of days, to a few days, to a week, couple weeks, few months. Yes, I've had clients where they've actually had a BPD Hoover in recycling a relationship, or they reversed Hoovered, got back together, were feeling quite idealized too, erroneously, and maybe it lasted 8 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year. And in some rare cases, it doesn't usually last much more than a year. It could, but that's very rare. And then it's just gonna, the discard or ghosting or whatever happened with breakup is gonna happen all over again. Then you're gonna be back to square one in a world of hurt. And because you're so traumatized by the fantasy bond, but yet that doesn't feel like it hurts, does it? It's one of the problems and challenges for people. So what exactly are they thinking when they come back? So I've addressed that pretty much. I mean, it's different for different people with BPD, but generally they're thinking about what they need and what they want from you way more than they're thinking about what you need or want from them. And change really isn't in what are they doing in a Hoover. Because they're not really thinking. It's like they're intellectualizing some stuff, probably making false promises, likely lying as well, because it's all about what they need and what they want. And they have a way of manipulating that to make it seem like it's what you really want. But then again, I want to say to people with codependency, you have to realize you do part of this to yourself when the borderline Hoovers, and you're really missing them, and you're in a world of hurt, and you might not understand the whole thing yet. Depends if it's your first recycle, their first Hoover, or you're down the line. But a lot of people do this a lot and don't even understand what's going on for some time because they just don't go look it up. But the thing is, more to the point even than what are borderlines really thinking when they come back, when they Hoover you, and you take them back? You allow them to come back. You have to remember that part when it blows up again, okay? What I would like to turn this question around now that I've kind of answered that question, because there isn't a whole lot of substance to what are they thinking when they're Hoovering you. Besides, I want this person back, I need, I want, I need, I want, I need, I want. That's what is really going on inside most people with BPD, whether they realize it or not. Not so much thinking, ton of feeling. But what's going on inside of you, commenter? Because I guess you took her back. I don't know, or if you're a he, and well, I guess this person took their BPD Ex back. I wonder if it worked out or not. Well, for now, it's not going to work out. But the thing is, so let me turn the question around. So not what exactly is the borderline thinking, like I said, but what is the codependent thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking if right now you're passively taking Hoovers or the Hoovers on a social media platform and you're not answering, or sometimes you do, but then, you're not sure you want to, but you want the control and the intermittent reinforcement mini hit of, are they still Hoovering me? Or are you ready to jump on that Hoover and let them come back? What are you thinking? Because you know what most people with codependency are thinking? You're thinking all that, well, first of all, you want rid of all your pain, and this will get rid of your pain. That's part of your codependency. If I take this person back and they come back and, it'll work, and then I won't have to hurt anymore, and I won't have to deal with my pain. I won't have to deal with my childhood. I won't have to deal with my wounded inner child. I won't have to deal with me. That's basically what codependents are doing. And borderline's doing a good chunk of that too. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I can really handle or not. But hey, maybe you could help regulate me. And I'm not saying they're thinking that, but it's in there and they're feeling it. But what are you as a codependent thinking if you still want your BPD Ex back? And maybe you've been Hoovered, or you're reverse Hoovering, and you're waiting for them to Hoover you because they ghosted you or discarded you, you think, and you're waiting for that Hoover because you so want to get back with them. What are you thinking? And then if they are contacting you and you make contact again, and you're talking on the phone or an app, or you're emailing, or whatever else can happen out there these days to quote, communicate. It's not really communication with a borderline, but you know what I mean. What are you thinking? Because you're so busy as a codependent. You are feeling the need to escape your pain, the need to escape yourself, because you've lost a lot of yourself. You don't really know who you are. You don't really feel great about yourself on your own. And maybe this borderline gives you a lot of things that make you feel better about yourself, even though they're standing there kicking you in the shin a lot of the time. What do I mean by that? Well, the ways in which they're knocking you down, hurting you, not usually physically, but it's like as if they were a little kid standing there booting you in the shin. Hey, what about me? What about me? You just spent the whole day with them. You did a bunch for them. You spent a ton of money on them. They're booting you in the shin going, hey, what about me? The little kid, what about me? What about me? What about me? What are you going to do for me? I don't know what to do for me. What are you going to do for me? And in codependency, each person with codependency, there's a chunk of something similar. Well, you don't feel such self-esteem or self-worth, or you don't feel so good about yourself without this BPD person. And what'll I do? And I'll never find anybody as, sexually good as they are, and that kind of thing. And maybe you'll say I'm in my 50s, or maybe you're in your mid-30s or 40, and you want to find that woman to have kids with. Well, you don't want that to be a woman with BPD, trust me. So ask yourself, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And then how can you blame it on the borderline 100% when it fails again and again and again and again and again and again and again, as many times as you go around this letting them Hoover and wondering what they're thinking? Or the commenter was wondering what they're thinking, because I think the commenter just assumed that the borderline was re-idealizing again to want a Hoover to come back. No. That's fantasy bond. You've already been there, done that, and got booted for that and really hurt and traumatized. So why on earth would you want your ex back? Why would you want to stay in contact if there's no kids involved and you don't have to? Well, the reason a lot of codependents do this is because you don't know what to do with you. And with all due respect, you don't know how to handle your pain. And it's very painful, these discards, ghosts, breakups with borderlines, because they're so complicated. Because there's so much that goes on in these relationships that don't work, that do traumatize. People with BPD can well traumatize codependents, but people with codependency don't realize how they're abandoning themselves, as you probably have been in one way or another since you were a child. People with codependency don't realize when you let the borderline come back and it blows up again and you're in agony again, and then a lot of people are really angry and vilifying borderlines all over the internet. Hey, what about you? What were you thinking? Usually they don't just overtake you, smash the door down to your house and come back. Usually you let them in. You've made a choice too. Why is it that so many people with codependency don't want to take responsibility when your choice to let the Hoovering BPD Ex, who's already treated you like crap, come back because, treating you like crap and all these arguments and all these problems and all the relational ruptures and all the devaluations and all the inability to communicate because they just, and they won't take personal responsibility. You need more of that because you confuse it with LOVE and it's not love. But I keep saying this and people have to keep finding it out the hard way. And that's really sad and painful because I'm out here to work with you if you resonate with me. I work with a lot of clients, have been for almost 36 years now. And I really feel for my clients. I really feel for people out there in general, like this commenter, because there's a lostness there. And this person, to the best that I can tell, right? I mean, sometimes something's a little different here and there, but generally with patterns, to the best that I can tell, you get a Hoover from the borderline and just assumed re-idealization. No, wrong, believe me, no. The codependent who gets hoovered by the BPD Ex when you're really hurting, you are totally ensconced in the fantasy bond. And you're going to make up the unreality of this getting back together. But you're going to say that the borderline's re-idealizing you. And you're not going to want to take any responsibility for how badly you want this person back to get out of your own pain. And that you think it's going to work, and it's fantasy bond stuff, and you're going to hurt again. Getting hits of intermittent reinforcement, then when the relationship breaks down again and they ghost or whatever, then you're going to hurt even more than you did last time. And every time you take back your borderline ex, you are strengthening the trauma bond that has within it the fantasy bond and often a betrayal bond. And you're mixing up, for lack of a better way to put it, just a simple way to put it. You're taking on like it's love from them. Do they have a little bit of love here and there momentarily, sometimes in a shard or fragmented self? Maybe. It's not healthy love, not consistent, not going to last. But you're mixing up unconsciously love and abuse. And where there is abuse, there is no love. But trust me when I say, now, could there be one borderline out there or a couple that, something, it would depend on time. Hopefully you'll move on within 5 years, but if people don't get treatment for their codependency and the breakup of these relationships, lots of people are still thinking about that borderline 5-10 years later. Could they hoover then and be different? Well, not really. Probably not. You know why? Because if they've gone to treatment for 5 or 10 years straight and been working through a lot of things and changing and healing, they're not going to hoover you. They're going to move forward in their own life. So anyway, I think I more than answered the question with my expertise and talking to, I'm sure, some kind of 1,000,000+ people in the last 30, I don't know because I haven't counted them all or anything, but way more than thousands. And just knowing this stuff inside out and seeing people, working with people and the patterns and having been through it myself on both sides, these relationships don't work out. And codependents need to start understanding more about what you're doing and what's going on your side of the fence so you can take care of yourself better, because it isn't all the borderline's fault.